Hello everyone. So today we will learn about the concept of verb in conjugation, which is in English called verb conjugation, and we will see how you can conjugate verbs in German. So let's start with some English examples so you can relate when we will start using some German example and see what are the differences and how things changes for the verbs in German. So in English, for example, I want to say I play. So we can say right I play, and then we can say we play. Then he plays, they play, and so on. So one thing you will notice that for as the personal pronoun or the subject changes in the sentence, how the verb changes. So for example, we have I, then for that we have I play, we play, nothing changed in the verb, and then we have he plays. So we have an additional s here added to the verb as the personal pronoun in this case changed from he. And then you do for they and so on, you will see the changes again. For example, we have they play, so the s is not there anymore. So this kind of changes happen in English to the verb as the personal pronoun or the subject changes, for example, from being first person to second person, then third person. So in the similar way, we also have a conjugation in German, right? So the verb conjugation from all the personal pronoun also changes in German, and we will see the examples of this one by one. So in the first case, we will start just with the regular verbs in German. So there are two kinds of verbs, regular and irregular. So first we will only look at the regular verbs in German and how the conjugation happens as the subject changes. So for example, we in the below table you can see we have different kind of subjects for the first person, second person, and third person. So here we are looking only for the regular verbs, regelmäßige Verben. So regelmäßige means regular. So now for regular verbs we have these different personal pronoun. For example, ish, which means I, do, you, as, he, she, it. And then here is you, all, so which means you have you but in plural form, so you are talking to many people. And then we have where, we, and then we have z, the formal form of do, which is you but formal informal way. And then we have z, which is called they, right? So we have these personal pronouns, and then we will see how the conjugation happens to a verb for all these cases, right? So let me write all these personal pronouns upstairs, and then we will compare what are the changes happening. So we will start with example verb, which is called lernen, right? So it means to learn, right? To learn. So one sign of all the verbs in the German is they end with en. So this form of the verbs is called infinitive. Infinitive form. So these are infinitive forms. All the verbs exist in this form with a en ending. You will see, for example, here like wohnen, machen, fragen, sagen, gehen. All these verbs have an ending with en. So these are the original or the infinitive forms of the verb which you will always find in German. So now we start with our original example of learning and see how the conjugations are happening to this infinitive form for different personal pronoun. So we have learnen here. So we can write ish, du, er, sie, es together, and then we have wir, ihr, then sie, and then then Z with an capital S. So for convenience, so we remember what these personal pronouns in English mean. I will write it also their English version. So ish is I, do is you, and this is an informal way of saying do, you, and then we have he, she, and then it. Then we have wir, which is we, and then we have you, all, which is in the plural form of do, and then we have z, they, and then we have z with a capital S, and this is the formal you. It's a you, but in a formal way. So now, if we look at the conjugation of the verb, how they are done, for the lernen, it will be ich lerne, du lernst, sie es lernt, wir lernen, and then we have ihr lernt, and then we have sie lernen. So what we did was we started with the verb lernen, which is written as this, and then as I said, all the verbs have the en ending, so we have a root form of the verb, which is learn. This is the root form, or like stem form, and then en is the making it infinitive. So we take this root form and conjugate this according to different personal pronouns. So we will take the learn and we conjugate. So for ish we have learn, so we added a e. For du lernst, so we added an st. AZS learned, we added a T here. Wir lernen, so here we added en, so essentially it's the infinitive form for wir. Then we have ear, we have an learned, which where we added T, and then ZZ lernen again. So this is the infinitive form. So we see that first pattern is for wir, and then zz, the verb is in the infinitive form, it's always en, and you can write it right away. And then we have different ending conjugated depending upon if it's ish, do, er, z, s, and so on. So here's the below is the table to show the same example. So if you have any regular verb, what kind of endings you are adding? So ish, you add a e to it, right? So we will have a e ending, lerner, du lernst, er, sie, es lernt, ihr lernt, wir, sie lernen, right? So this is the ending. So let's look at for other examples. We can just uh, look at more examples and see how these endings can be added to the stem form of the verb. So here we did the case of the learning, and then now we can look at some other examples from below. So let's start with makhan. So we have makhan. So makhan means to do, to do something, right? So we have the stem form and the infinitive form. So infinitive is full makhan. This is infinitive, but our stem form would be removing the en, so we have the stem for mark. And now we will conjugate this stem form depending upon the personal pronoun, first person, second person, which is ish, du, er, sie, es, and so on. So I will just do directly and write the verb for each case. So I have ish mark, so I will do ish mark. I added a e given below the table, from the table. Now du markst, so I added an st. AZS marked, ear marked, then again I added a t, and then wir zz machen. So this will be for our machen verb different conjugation. Now let's do another example. We can do from below common. Let's do for common, right? So common means to come. So let's do it again. So what we have this common as an infinitive form, this is an infinitive verb. Then what would be its stem form, so we have to remove the en. The remaining is the stem form. Com is the stem form, and we will conjugate this according to our different personal pronouns. So let's do it again for common. So ish, com, a. So we added a e, ish, comma. Du kommst. Sie, es kommt. Ihr kommt. And then wir, sie kommen. So that's how you do it for regular verbs. So you can also try to do it for the other verbs from the below example, and then write in the comment section, and you can try how it works for you. Do you get the logic or not? And I will check it for you that how you did there, right? So that's for our regular verbs. But there are some exceptions in regular verbs that you will come to a situation where you have to do something more than the conjugating the verb at the end depending upon the personal pronoun. So for example, let's look at arbeiten, right? Arbeiten. So arbeiten means to work, right? This is the verb. It means arbeiten, to work, right? So let's look at the infinitive form. So infinitive is full arbeiten, and the stem form for this verb is arbeit, because we will remove the en form, and this is the stem form, and this is what we will conjugate, right? So let's try to conjugate from the previous rule. So if I conjugate for ish, arbeiter, ish arbeiter, I add an e. Then another one, ish arbeitest, right? But here when you have t and then it's a very tist, so this will make a sound of tist, right? And this is very difficult to make a sound, right? But let's go on. We conjugate another. So a z s r by tit, right? So the rule says we have to add another t, so r by tit, right? So again, here pronouncing this sounds a bit difficult. Let's go on further and try to do it for other ones. Ear, r by tit, add another t, arbeitet. So you can see that we are getting some difficulty when we pronounce these words, right? Because we for the stem form we have a t ending, right? So and to avoid this pronunciation issue, what we do is we add another e between the main conjugation. So how it looks like, let's do this, right? So when you have a stem form ending with a T or a D, right? Then what you will do is you will add an extra E between the conjugation. How it will look like, let's see. So I have ish, are, bite, stem form, and I add an E. So no problem here. Ish arbeiter. Then du arbeitest. Are by test. So if the original will be, it will be st, but I will do what do you know, I will do another e here, so it will become r by test, right? So it's easier to pronounce. Then we do it for ASZS, r by tet. So the original rule is add and t, but we add an extra e here, so here r by tet, so it's easy to pronounce, right? And then we do ear, again arbeit. The rule says we will add another t, but I add an extra t, arbeitet, right? So that's good. And then wir, z, then it goes arbeiten, right? So now you see that the original rule says you should add ich arbeite, e, du arbeitest, er, sie, es arbeitet, ihr arbeitet, and wir, sie arbeiten. But for these two cases, these three cases in between, for du, er, sie, es, and ear, it's difficult to do the pronunciation, so we add an extra e. So our conjugation for these cases will be with an extra e, right? And this is true. This is true for the verbs which have an stem form ending in t or d, right? So let's look at more examples of such verbs where the ending could be in the T and D case, and then we can make another example and try to do the conjugation for that one, right? So let's do that. So below are given some examples of such verbs on the right hand side, and I will do one more examples with you, and we see how it goes, right? So for example, the verb senden. Senden is to send something, right? So the stem form and the infinitive form. So the infinitive is senden, and stem form would be removing the en from here, so send, right? Then we will do ish. For ish, do, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, and then z, and then z, right? So let's do that. So for ish, it will be send. We have an e ending. Then do would be sendest, st, but we add an extra e here, so sendest. ASZS, sendet, right? Normal T, but we have an extra e for this case of verbs because we had this d ending in the stem form. Wir send an infinitive form, no problem here. Ihr sendet, and then z senden again, right? So for such verbs, the conjugation rule is adding an extra e in the do case, ARZS case, and ET case, and then other things remains the same, right? So these are the conjugation rules for our regular verbs, right? And this is true for most all of the regular verbs, and then the additional e is coming for the cases where you have the verbs ending in t or d. So for example, we have antworten, so it is ending in t for the stem verb, and then we have ifnin also. So ifnin also is when you have ending with n also. Then schaden, baden, beten, regnen, senden. So we have a T ending, D ending, and N ending. So, but most of the verbs you will encounter uses T and D. N are not that much, but yeah, the rule still remains the same. And then you have to keep in mind how the conjugation is done, where you have to add an extra e. But when you conjugate, you will see that, oh yeah, when I conjugate and then we have st, then doesn't sound that good, so I have to do a test kind of ending. And then if you have an ending and then d, then dst doesn't sound good, so I have to add an dest, right? So for the do case, so this can come with the practice, but you can follow these rules. Okay, so now moving on, we will do some exercises to get us familiarized with the rule, how to use it, and see are we comfortable with conjugating the verbs. So for example, we have kommt ihr aus der Schweiz. So we have ihr is a personal pronoun, and we have conjugated common verb here, common, according to the ear personal pronoun, the subject of the verb. So common, we know ish, comma, do coms, as is commed, ear commed. So we have the com t conjugation here, right? So you can pause also here and do the exercise on your own given what you learn, or you can just solve it with me, right? So let's do it. So Rudiger wohn in Kiel. So wohn is the stem form. What is the ending? So Rudiger, we are talking about him. Er, er wohnt in Kiel. So it will be a T ending, wohnt. Stefan spielt gern Tennis. Stem form Spiel from spielen, and then we will do Stefan. He likes to play tennis. Stefan spielt gern Tennis. Right? Then Frau Braun und Herr Schwarz lernen Hindi. Stem from learn, from lernen. They are learning Hindi. So who's learning? Frau Braun und Herr Schwarz. So lernen, right? So it's the Z. It's coming from Z. They. This will be they, and then they is Z in German, and then for Z we have the en ending, right? And if you don't understand, you can obviously write in the comments and ask, then I can clear you more better. Right? Now, hi, do Ajay Sani, and you're asking somebody, hi is Hyson is your name, Ajay Sani. So do for do we have T, Hais, right? Ish, common. So stem form is com, aus Kerala. Ish, comma, aus Kerala. Wir, so we have wonen is the main verb. So won is the stem form. For wir we have en ending. So wir wohnen in Delhi. Air. So for air we have lernen. Learn is the stem form. Lernen is the verb. So er lernt Deutsch. Then we have lernen, du auch Deutsch. So we have du. For do we have st ending. Lernst du Deutsch. Er wohnt. Ihr. So where we have t ending. Wo wohnt. So wohnen. Stem form wohn and t. Then we have Spiel, du gern Fußball. Du is the subject, personal pronoun, and then for do we have the ending st. Spielst du gern Fußball, and spielen is the infinitive form. Wohin, geh, ihr, jetzt. Ihr, so we have for ihr we have t ending geht. Geht is from the verb gehen, and which is the infinitive form, and then geh is the stem form. Monica, trink gern Lemonade. Trink, then it will be Monica and she. So sie trinkt. We will have T ending. Kinder, so we have Kinder, frag, viel. Kinder is the plural kids. Frag, stem form. So for plural, Kinder, they fragen viel. Wie heißt ihr? Then what are you called? What's your name? Heißen. So wie heißt ihr? T ending for ihr. Warum sag du nicht? For do we have st in it. Warum sagst du nicht? Why are you not saying anything? Right? So this is how the endings are for the different verbs. So even if you don't know the meaning of those verbs, but you should understand, given the personal pronoun in the sentence, the subject, what is the corresponding verb, stem form, and what is the conjugation we are doing. And you can always look up the table and do this conjugation. So today we will stop here, and then in the next time we will look at more detail in the other concept of the German grammatic. If you have any doubt, you can write in the comment and ask. And if you have any other topic which you want to understand, you can also mention that. Then I will discuss those with some example exercise. Thank you.